From the 6th of October, Scottish landlords are going to have new legal timescales around damp and mould. And I think the biggest mistake would be to treat this as simply another bit of paperwork. This is quite a serious ask, guys, because practically this changes what needs to happen when a tenant sends you a message saying, "I've got mould in the bedroom." From the 6th of October 2026, Awaabs law starts applying in Scotland's rented sector, including private landlords. The first stage focuses specifically on damp and mould. If a tenant reports damp or mould, the landlord will be required to investigate it within 10 working days. Once that investigation has taken place, the landlord then has 3 working days to provide a written summary of the findings. And if repairs are required, those repairs must begin within 5 working days of the investigation. So this is not simply tenant reports mould, I'll get somebody out when I can. This is now a much clearer process and a much clearer timetable. And from a management point of view, I think that means landlords need to think about what happens from the moment that first report arrives. Who receives it? Who records when it was received? Who decides whether somebody needs to attend? Who carries out the investigation? Who records what they actually find? And who makes sure the repair is instructed within the required timescale? Because the clock is not going to care whether the landlord is on holiday, whether the contractor is busy, or whether the message disappeared into a WhatsApp conversation. That does not mean every patch of condensation is automatically a major structural problem. Damp and mould can have different causes. It might be a leak, it might be defective gutters, it might be poor ventilation, it might be penetrating damp, it might be condensation, and sometimes there may be more than one thing going on. The important part is that you properly investigate it rather than making assumptions. And I think there is another important point here for landlords. The written record matters. If somebody attends the property, you want a clear record of when they attended, what they inspected, and what they found and what they recommended. If repairs are required, record when they were instructed. If access cannot be obtained, record the attempts you made to arrange access. If the tenant reports that the problem has returned, that should also form part of the history. This is one of those areas where good management is not just about getting somebody to fix something. It is about having a system that shows exactly what happened and when. There already is a legal repairing standard for private landlords in Scotland, so damp and mould is not suddenly becoming a landlord responsibility for the first time. What is changing is the introduction of these specific investigation, reporting and repair start timescales. And from what I can see, that is where some self-managing landlords may get caught out. Not because they deliberately ignore repairs, but because informal systems can work perfectly well until something has a legal deadline attached to it. A tenant texts you, you mean to phone the contractor, 2 days pass, the contractor says they will get back to you, you chase them, then suddenly that week has disappeared. That is much less comfortable when you're working against a statutory timescale. So between now and the 6th of October, I would be asking 3 questions. First, how are maintenance reports recorded? Second, who is responsible for making sure damp and mould reports are investigated within the timescale? And third, can you prove what action was taken afterwards? You do not need to panic about Awaab's law, but you do need a process. And if you're relying on memory, text messages, and I'll deal with that later, October is probably a good time to tighten that up. I'm Brian from Be Listed. This is the Landlord's Desk. I've also recorded separate videos covering the other Scottish landlord changes coming on the 6th of October. including wrongful termination compensation. If you own a rental property in Scotland, make sure you understand what is changing before the rules come into force. Thank you for watching.